Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have Holly Kudel and her team, otherwise known as the Rescue Squad from Innovia Consulting, and they will be discussing with us their For the Love of NAV BC. And I know you're all eager to get started with the presentation. So before I pass it over to Holly and her team, I just want to remind you that we are recording this as well as all of our webinars, and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, we encourage you to type them into the questions box. As we go along with the presentation, we will discuss those questions and get them addressed by our lovely Rescue Squad team. So now I'm going to pass it on over to Holly to kick off our presentation.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming to our lunch table. We're so excited to have you join us. I'm Holly Kudel, and I'm the team lead for the Rescue Squad, our service and support team at Innovia Consulting. And we just thought it'd be really fun to have you join us at our lunch table and just talk about some things with you and answer some questions for you about NAV and around the product. And so today, our first one this year out of the gate, we're going to do this quarterly for you. So look forward to a few more this year, is the topic around love and Valentine's Day in February. And so we're going to talk about our love for NAV and our passion for this product and the people around it. And so one of the reasons we're here and what's cool about this team is we really do have a passion for customer service and for you guys that are out there and that we serve. So without you, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be enjoying the things that we get to enjoy and experience alongside you guys and seeing you guys become successful. So we're really grateful for that. Coming from my side and the love of NAV, my story starts in 2008. So more than 10 years ago, just about this time of year is when I met on my first date with NAV. It was NAV 3.7. And it was at a company where I came in as their accounts receivable manager and was introduced to NAV. And within the first few days of training on the product, I found that I really, really enjoyed it and thought it was a pretty cool product in ERP. And that was the beginning of my love relationship with NAV and now Business Central. And over the years, it's just continued to grow, not only for the product, but for the community and the people around it. We jokingly call it a cult, but it really is a community. It's not just an ERP, it's not just a business platform, but the people around it on the partner side and the client side and the ISV side and everyone involved, including the Microsoft team, really has become a family and all network and work together across the board. And so that's why I enjoy it. That's what I love about it. I don't see myself going anywhere outside of this community for the rest of my career. I jokingly say when I get old and ready to retire, instead of working at Walmart, I'm going to become the dispatcher and schedule tickets. So I plan to be around for a while. Tracy's laughing. Thanks, Tracy.
No, I feel the same way.
We're going to fight for the dispatcher spot.
Yeah, we might need to.
You too? See, we're all going to go after that spot. I love it. But that's just how much we love the community and the product and our company, Innovia, and what we do. That we don't want to leave. Our goal is to figure out how we could stick around as long as possible. So with that, I'm going to share one of the things that I really love about this product and the system, and that's really the flexibility of my screen and my dashboard and what that looks like in the system. So for me, being able to personalize my screen to look how I want it and have things where I need them is what really stood out to me and what's something that I really enjoyed. Obviously back in Classic Client in 3.7, that wasn't so much the case. And so when we upgraded to 2015 and the Roll Taylor client, I was just, if I wasn't already head over heels, I was even more head over heels at that point. And being able to set up my screen so I can work effectively. And the same with everyone in the company. So some of the things that I really enjoyed was being able to go into the different areas. And so you'll find the same kind of things in most of your that are Role Tailor and in Business Central SaaS, which is the version I'm looking at, is Business Central SaaS. And so in SaaS, you go here to get your profile. And so it's under Role in your editing section. And you could choose, and you could go through and try different roles and find the one that best fits your role in what you're doing, and brings up a screen that shares important information to you. So you can come down and check in and see. You can see all the different roles that are available to you. If you're human resources, payroll, project manager, sales manager, shipping, warehouse workers. So all kinds of roles, and you could click and try them and see it will change what your screen looks like. It'll bring up things that are most important to that area of work as you're going through. And
Now, Holly, I saw your famous queen bee on there.
I see somebody
Yeah.
created a role for queen bee. Imagine that. I that one. And then again, your companies are here, your work date, something that maybe, you know, I was off for 2 days and so I need to catch up. And so maybe my work date for Monday or last Friday. And then I can set that and continue to work, and everything will post to that work date, which is really fabulous. Same thing with your time zones. So lots of little settings right there on that screen. So you'll see it flashes, and now it's going to come back, and my role is going to look a little different because it's going to be the role for the queen bee. I broke it.
Is the Queen Bee role out of box for Business Central?
It is not. Somebody created it just for me. So just if you don't like the roles that are there, you can make your own and give them their own title. The one disappointing thing about Business Central on that is if you go to Role Tailor and do that, you see it at the top of your screen. So in the Role Tailor client, people would come to my desk and they would see really big letters that said Queen Bee on my screen, which I always thought was quite amusing. And that doesn't happen here. So Microsoft listening, if you could add that so it says Queen Bee here, that would be phenomenal. Much appreciated. So that's the first thing. The next was recently added in one of the more recent versions was that you can update these tabs here on your screen. So, you know, if you don't see something here that you use a lot, let's say that it's, you know, the cash flow chart of accounts, we'll just pick something random. So I could come to the screen, and if I have to go here a lot, instead of having to click up here or type it in the search, I can use this little bookmark. And this bookmark, once it's blackened in, you'll see it turns dark green. Now when I go back to the front, we're going to see that cash flow on my screen as well. So now I've added this tab, so it's right there again as something that I can quickly grab and go to right from my role center. So being able to make this look how I want it, what works for me, is extremely helpful to me. Another thing I missed about Role Center was they did not put our navigation pane back over here on the left. I really liked having that availability and be able to click and go to things that I go to often, some filtered views as well. And so I missed that, but I do use Microsoft Edge as my browser. And so they did create a neat thing called collections. And on my screen here, you can see it's just this little plus sign, and it's going to bring it up on the right-hand side. And you can make as many collections as you like. As you can see, I have my Business Central, I have my Daily Grind, which has other things, a Microsoft one, ISVs. So you can make all different collections. And then inside of my Rescue Squad collection, you can see I could jump to those different pages in my environment that I've saved in the collection. So I could go to a page and save it to the collection. And now anytime I want to get back to this filtered view, I can get back to it quickly using my collection. So that's another feature that I really, really liked that I can utilize. It's not in your Business Central SaaS, but it is there to use in Microsoft's Edge. Also, if you're using the web client version of the any of the other products, you can also use it in Edge if you're using the web client.
And Holly, just a note to that, if you don't mind, I see a lot of customers open up new tabs in their browsers, and they're not familiar with that collection, so that'll probably be very helpful during our meeting training session today.
Cool. All right. So that's what I love about NAV. That's my little tips and tricks. And one of my favorite things about the product is just the versatility, being able to make it be my own. We have our own personal relationship, as you can see. How about you guys?
I have a very similar appreciation for NAV, but as a developer, I've worked with all sorts of different programming languages for quite a while, and NAV is built to be customized. It's built to be extended, and from a developer's perspective, you can make a lot of functionality happen with relatively few lines of code. And that kind of the customization that you're looking at and you're appreciating, Holly, that same type of, you know, that level of customization, NAV is designed to be customized like that all the way down to the code level. So that's one thing that I really like about it, because I've worked with a lot of languages that you have to work really hard to make very simple things happen, and NAV was designed to be the opposite, where you can make larger changes to the processes your business is using with relatively small changes to the code base. So that's one thing that I really appreciate it for.
That's really cool. You know, so on that note, for my developers, you know, we do know what NAV is capable of, and I jokingly say my developers are so brilliant they could develop themselves into a corner if I let them. So what are some rules of thumb maybe our customers should use around that customization? Because we can get carried away and overdo it, like with anything. And as Americans, if you're not an American on the call, you're not included in this group. But as Americans, you know, we really like to customize and overdo things. And so no different with our ERPs. What are some suggestions you might have for our customers as they're making those decisions to keep us?
So a lot of the changes that I see proposed, or maybe not a lot, but definitely a subset, are things that NAV can do natively, or they might be areas that our customers aren't as familiar with and have a proposed change to it, but there's potentially an area within NAV that already has that functionality, or a way that they can customize it from the user's end that does not require any type of code modification. So my one recommendation would be, for any development changes you're going to do, make sure there's not a process that you can utilize that would work, kind of do the task that you're looking for. Because the more modified your system is, the higher risk of you know, conflicting modifications and things of that nature. So if there's a way to do it natively in NAV, that's almost always a better way to go if it fits your business practices.
You know, Daniel, this on that point, even if it doesn't already do it out of the box, maybe finding a piece of the system that gets you part of the way there instead of all of the way there. Something that we can piggyback our code onto, you know, or, you know, staying away from the hard-coded details, you know what I mean? Or making sure that it's configurable instead of flat out hard-coded, because what we all love about Business Central or NAV is that it's scalable. Today, my process is X. In 2 more years, my process is going to be Y, because I may open up more locations, or I may have lots more orders or demand. You know what I mean? So, I mean, those are all reasons to either find a way to do it in the current environment, piggyback on something that gets you a little bit farther along, configure it, make it configurable, don't hard code, you know, those kinds of things, because we want to make sure that that system stays scalable for your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that about all you guys. I learned that from you guys here when we've talked through some custom code and development, is you always think about that. Is this something that we should make customer facing so that they can add to it or tweak it. You know, is this a table that we want them to be able to update on their own? Is this an area that we want them to be able to add another field or another line item to that drop down box? And I think that's really kind of key and neat. It's not something I thought about on the user side, but really learned from you guys on this side of the fence, is to be able to do that. Tracy, what are you thinking?
Well, I like the fact that it's accessible anywhere, especially during this time of the period of the way of the world. There's no VPNs, there's no RDPs that we have to get into. You can just access it from wherever you are. If you're on vacation, but you still have to work a few hours, you can access it, which is really nice. I like the interaction with our Office 365 and opening the pages in Excel. That's really a nice feature. And that is a permission that we do have to add to users. A lot of times users say, hey, I can't open mine in Excel. Where's my page? You know, where's my relation to that? So there is a permission that you have to add to the user. But other than that, the basic permission, it says Excel, add it to your user and then have them close out and reopen. And there's that page and they can export that to Excel. And that goes for the emailing interaction. Everything's interacted with your Office 365 and Business Central. And back to the personalization, if you could go, if you don't mind showing like the posted sales invoicing listing for me. I just think this is important because Microsoft seems to never want to add a lot of the most important criteria to our listings. And to me, a posting date is very, very important when I'm looking at a listing. And that just never seems to be on our documents. So if you look here and if you could show them how to personalize that and bring in the posting date, if it most likely it's not showing. You have to go to your field, and this shows all the available fields on that page. And you can add and drag and drop all of these fields over to your listings. And there's our posting date. And since it's there, it's not existing in your listing. So that is something I always point out to the customers when we start working with them and they're new to Business Central. I'm like, hey, let's add your posting date over. That way you can see and you can sort. And I mean, to me, that's an important field, you know.
It's very important.
Yeah.
One side note about that list of fields that popped up there, that doesn't show all of the available fields on the underlying table. It will show all of the fields that are on the posted sales invoice page and are available, but they might not all be enabled.
Okay.
If you want to, if there are any fields that you might want to pull in that are not on the page, you can click that little question mark up on the top right there. And this is more for, I use this a lot for troubleshooting. You might, oh, it's not there. It's under the, is it under the settings?
It's under help and support.
Yeah, and then view inspection pages, I think.
Daniel, you're probably not finding it because you're used to doing the Control to F1, right?
That's completely true.
That's another way to get the same thing.
All the keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, there. So.
Inspect pages
so
and data.
Inspect
there's a
pages.
section on here, inspect pages and data down towards the bottom.
There it is.
And that'll give you.
She has to finish her personalization.
But that'll show you all of the fields available, or all the fields that are on that table. In this case, it's going to be the sales invoice header. But if there's a field that you think is on that table and you're not seeing it available for personalization, it may need to be added to the page by a developer, which would allow you to personalize it and add it here.
And it also shows the data in there, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so if you're looking for certain data in that field, yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. So again, more troubleshooting.
Yep, and just a great thing. I love when customers send me a snippet of the page information with their requests. It really helps us to zero in on where they're at and what's going on.
Right.
So most of them now know how to get their help about this page in Rolltailor client and NAV on-prem or Business Central on-prem, but in the SaaS version, same thing. If you go to that inspect, you're going to get this screen, and then this is the snippet that we're we're always looking for. If you send us this, it zeroes us in on where you're at. Just to paste that then into your email when you send it to support@innovia.com, along with what's going on. Many times can help zero us in really quick to where you're at.
Mhm.
You know, I heard Holly and Tracy say, "Hey, Microsoft, if you're listening, or could you add this for me?" You know, in
Hey,
these newer versions, really, they are paying attention. I mean, you know, those of us who've been with Business Central or NAV for 20 years know how the pendulum has swung, because
Exactly.
before they you know they listened to customers, they didn't quite always listen to partners. Now they're listening to both, and now there's even a venue to do that, and it's, you know, out under the experience for Dynamics Business Central. And if anybody wants that link, I'll be happy to share it. And after I'm done talking here, I'll put it in our comments. But most of the improvements that have come out in the last 12 months are nothing but a result of suggestions made by the network being a partner or an end user. So you have the power to make the changes that you need.
Correct.
Just bringing that up.
If I'm
And
not
to that
mistaken,
suggestion, when they first brought out Business Central, remember how many navigation tabs we had? We had a navigate, and then we had another navigate, and then we had another navigate. So they do listen and they do modify for
You
us.
do.
So
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
navigate, it's the other navigate. Where is it?
Where's the other one, and what's it called?
yeah, it's not
Find
related.
entries. You had it.
Hey,
It's called, yeah, find entry.
Yeah,
Find
find
entry right
entries.
below
That used to be
your.
a navigate too. Yep.
Oh yeah.
yep.
There it is. See, that's the navigate I remember, but Tracy,
We're
you
used to.
probably, yeah, you probably like the other navigate,
No,
right?
I like all the
Oh,
navigates. You
you like,
just have to
okay.
reword them on us now.
Being the accountant that you are.
I do like to find entries better, because when navigate just means, okay, where's it going to take me? I don't know. But hey,
Right.
and what's nice about Business Central, you can click everywhere and you're not going to break it. If you don't know what that button's going to do, click on it and find out for yourself. That's how nice
Yeah.
it is. It's very user friendly.
Yep.
Just
And I'll
don't
be honest
press.
with you, I've been doing this 20 plus years myself, and I am self-trained, self-taught user, and now I'm a consultant, but that's how I learned,
Right.
is I just started clicking.
Well, and how about when you get into a clicking area and then it says, or you're searching for something and it says learn more, and then it takes you to a
Yeah,
video. How nice
right,
is
right,
that? Because
right.
the
The
help
older version
documents,
didn't have that at all.
yeah.
For sure. And I like how they made it now so you could pop out to a new window,
Yep.
tab, or expand it bigger. So all good stuff they've added recently. And a new
Yeah,
version's coming
most
in
things are
April. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what else? What else do we have? Let's talk about. So, what is your favorite kind of request that we get?
I like automating things.
Me too. I was gonna say the same thing. I love when
I
they
like,
want to automate something.
yeah, it's fun to sit down and you watch a user walk through a process and kind of lay out all their steps and then figure out what pieces need to change for it to all just kind of go on a job queue and run behind the scenes.
And are you almost immediately trying to figure out, oh, I know what I could do. I can make it better doing this. Right,
Oh
Daniel?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the challenge comes when there's processes that require user input. So then you have to kind of come up with, you know, logical trees in a sense of, if this happens, then we should assume the user would have answered this way or that way. So that's where a lot of the fun comes in, is writing code to figure out what a user would have done in that situation, and what would the prompt have been answered, or what should that prompt have been answered with.
Right. And because you think there might be a stop in that automated process, shouldn't make you steer away from it, because we've had a lot of those where it's like, well, if this happens, then do this. And if that happens, then go over here. And send an email to everybody in the company. You know, I mean, so I mean, we've gone pretty far down the path. I think we have a few customers that I'm convinced no longer have to work. They just sit and watch NAV work behind them. Incredible stuff. You know, I picture them just sitting there drinking coffee with their feet up, watching it go.
Right?
You know
Let's
who
make
I'm
sure that job queue keeps running for us.
You're out there, you know who I'm talking about. But yeah, that is a lot of fun. The automation's a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think that's why we all enjoy making sure that our clients are trained so that they can take care of their system well, so that when they send something to us, it's something fun instead of, you know, a break fix stressful thing. We like, you know, to do the fun stuff with them and have a good time, kind of like lunch and learn.
Yeah, and you know, with the automation, a lot of us think of a job queue running the automation for us. And one of the nice add-ons a couple versions ago was that document layout and that document sending profile that they implemented. That we don't need a job queue for that. We just need the setup properly, the SMTP setup, and all you have to do is click send. And if you highlight 20 invoices for or filter to that one posting date, you know, it'll send all those out for you in a heartbeat without a job queue.
I've automated that too and put it on a job queue.
Oh, thanks, Daniel.
He's a true developer, Tracy. True developer.
Check.
I'm the last to know those things.
Oh, yeah.
You worked with me on that project.
I know.
Right, for sure. Yeah, everything can get automated. It's amazing. The things that
Well, yeah, I think Marguerite and I could say that some of our, well, I won't speak for you, Marguerite, so, but, you know, improving processes, you know, like automating. Right now, I'm doing all my production scheduling in Excel, or my purchasing in Excel spreadsheets, and tracking my demand, and, you know, and when do I need to order what, or when do I make what, you know, and streamlining those pieces of the system and helping the customer use more pieces and parts of the product that they own, you know, and getting away from spreadsheets. You know, I know we all love our spreadsheets, but let go of the spreadsheet.
we gotta convince them that it's just a fancy spreadsheet, and then maybe they'll stay in the right.
It really is. When you're looking at these, they really are just a fancy looking spreadsheet within BC.
Yep. Yep.
And it's funny you say that, Des, because literally right before this call, I had a call with a client who was like, well, isn't there a report that gives me this, this, this? And I'm like, well, not in the way that you're thinking report. And we started talking requisition worksheet. And her little eyes lit up and she was like, wait, what? And I was like,
What?
yeah, let's start talking about your setups and then how that's going to automate your system. And she was just like, okay, we're having a call tomorrow, right? And I'm like, sure.
Yep.
I know, right? Yeah. Similar. Where do I find this? How do I know? I don't ship it in a timely fashion, but I still want to be able to see what's reserved for shipping versus what I have technically on hand, meaning not reserved for a customer. Okay, here's the 5 different ways you can see that data. You know, who's the requester? Is it the customer service rep, or is it the planner? You know, it just depends on who needs to see that. And that'll drive how we access that data. And, you know, same thing. Oh, thank you so much. Has this always been there? Oh my gosh. It's like, hallelujah.
You know, and with the 5 different things of finding things within here, you know, they have the fact boxes, which you can keep on your screen, or you can remove them if you don't want to use those. But those fact boxes are quick links to get to other pages and other information within the database.
Right.
Yep. And you know what, Tracy, I'm so glad you said the word fast link, because Holly can attest to this of being on the user side, and we didn't know that. And here we are over here taking that information and we're searching by the item number, not knowing all we had to do was click, and it took us right over there.
Yeah.
Holly stood behind me one day just shaking her head going, Oh, no, no, no.
You know, and
And
also
so
with these newer versions though, and fast links and drilling down in anything blue font, you can drill down into, and it takes you to that next page. I mean,
yeah.
I've
that's
even
nice
started
too.
using more of the fact boxes in these more recent versions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just reminds me of, if you're the NAV admin or you're the person responsible for your ERP at your company out there, spend time with your end users. Don't assume they know everything. Get over there, work with the people in sales, work with the shipping, get out on the floor with them and watch what they're doing. I started doing it as the CIO so that I could teach them how to use NAV more efficiently. And many times it was things like Marguerite said, where it was like, quit doing that. Just go over here and click the button. You'll be at the customer page. Much easier. But what I also found out was they taught me a lot about what they did in their process and where their pain points were. So really, really, it was a real collaboration to start doing that. And so once a week, I suggest spend a half a day with somebody different in the company, working alongside them, walking through processes and seeing what's going on. They'll learn and get more understanding of the system and be less stressed out about it. And you'll learn stuff too that you can do and help within the system for your company to make it a better system.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? And Holly, I mean, you know exactly, where we were, and we had users that would not speak up. They were the quietest, most mousy people in the company. And it wasn't until Holly, went and sat with them that all of a sudden she realized their pain points. We had a salesperson that Holly's favorite. She's only showing 2 lines on the entire order and she's inputting 30-line orders. And she would have never spoke up. And just that time Holly spent with her changed the way she was able to input orders like drastically and immediately.
yeah, months into her sitting there going back and forth, trying to see the lines. And I went, what are you doing? She says, I want to see that line. And I'm like, okay, so expand the window. And I showed her how. She was like, oh my God, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like the months that she spent struggling to do that. And all it took was that little tiny click. It goes back to my beginnings. And when I first fell in love with the product, I was in the same boat. I was accounts receivable manager. So every morning, sometimes it took me almost all day to enter a lockbox. There might have been 500 checks that I had to enter line by line. And so every line I would get to, I would put in the date, right? So today's date, 0202, actually, let's go back, 02-02-21. Next line, 02-02-21. And one day, our account manager from our partner came by and she was standing behind me, kind of like the story Marguerite told. And she went, hey, Holly, you can hit T and it'll enter the date. And I went, what? And she said, yeah, I was like, oh my God, how much time that saved me in a day just not going 02-02-21. Every line that I inputted in the system was amazing. And then she, like that wasn't enough to blow my mind. She goes, yeah, and once you put the date there, then on the next line, you can just do F8. I'm like,
Yep.
good Lord, y'all are killing me. Then I started to learn more about the date. If you're in the current month in the current year, all you have to put is today's date. So just put 2 and it'll add the month and the year.
Yep. Even if it's
Things
tomorrow, just put in the number 3 and it'll pick up the month of February and the year.
Yep.
right.
Default
Things
current month, current year.
Tracy, I
and,
think every time I work with you, you have a little tip.
Oh
right.
yeah, I think the
Like you
first
could
week
have
or
done
two
that a
I was
little
working with Daniel. I forget what we were doing. I said, well, if you click the S, the letter S over and over, you'll get there real quicker. Because he was scrolling. I think we were zooming in on a page myself, but
Yep.
he
I think it
was,
was
he was
something.
scrolling to the S. And I said, just click the S. It'll take you right there.
And keep going down the S's till you
Yeah.
find it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. That's
you know your
another.
NAV age by what you just said, Tracy, or if you call Control Alt F1 Zoom or not.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah, the shortcuts are fun. We should really get a list together too and have that available. Send those over to customers. Every once in a while, attach it to an email, Say, hey, here, by the way, here's some shortcuts if you want to use them.
I think
Yeah.
I have one somewhere in my files. I have to
Is
find
it
that.
updated, recent updates, or?
I
Definitely
think
not.
Because
Quite a
Tracy
few of
was
them are
one
still
them.
the same
so.
though.
If they're in SAS, it's in SAS now. So you could go to the question mark, keyboard shortcuts.
Ooh.
Oh, you got Tracy's attention now,
All
Holly.
right, I'm
Oh,
closed.
yeah.
My glasses are on.
It takes right to the page
See, you learn something new every day. There you go.
for all your keyboard shortcuts. Tracy's gonna go and scroll through them and find something new. I know she is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It takes you right there to all the different shortcuts and quick references. It's really cool.
How did you get there again? I missed that portion.
Okay, so let's go back. Question mark, keyboard shortcuts.
Oh, it's right there. Nice.
You've been clicking over it.
I know.
He was typing it, Googling and stuff.
You know,
See?
Yeah, that
Oh,
old Google. GTS, right?
a little hour conversation, and it's amazing what people can learn from each other.
Mm.
You know, on site, keep that in mind when you're working with your team. Don't assume they know things. Always share those little tips and tricks with each other because they go a long way in helping throughout the day. I
And
am living proof.
I did see that Des put in that link for users to put in their experience ideas and that. So, awesome, Des.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it because I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure if they use your idea in one of the releases, it's noted on the release notes that it was a user idea or
Oh,
something.
neat.
Yeah,
think
there's actually a tally for the top authors too.
how do
What
you
you're saying is Kevin's at the top of that list.
Having funds has
um,
95 submissions, 12 implemented ideas. So.
And he is with Innovia.
Mhm.
He is indeed. He's a good guy. Oh, everyone's good on our team. That's what's fun about coming to work. There's no one you're going to run into that you don't really want to be with. Everybody's a good time. We like to laugh and have fun a lot, don't we?
Yes. You know, and speaking about shortcuts and things like that, I also like when you can hover over a field and explains to you what that field does or what the criteria is it for and the functionality behind it, which I like hovering over that because I still don't know everything, especially if I'm in the manufacturing side and someone reaches out because Des and everyone else is on vacation, like Tracy, I'm like, oh geez, manufacturing. But all I do is hover over it and I learn it, and I help the customers. So
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
It's cool that you brought that up again because so many users with their dates. Dates is like one of my passion points. And everybody's like, oh, I use this date for this. And it's like, did you check the definition? That's not what it's for. And then they wonder why nothing's working correctly.
right.
Yep. Right. How many people have you shown that you can use formulas in a number field?
Oh, I've shown that quite a bit.
That's when that people always go like, oh my God, I didn't know that.
Right. It's been like that for years and years.
Right? No, I don't want to. I don't want to post the invoice. I want to go to sales orders. Yeah, little things like that always.
Especially like a line discount if you want to use 5%, but you're not sure if the amount is right or that
So you can
works
do the
too.
calculation right there. Is that what you
Yep.
usually do, Tracy? Yeah.
Yes.
I want to do 8 times 5. It'll automatically.
Oh.
I didn't
Give you
even
an
know.
error.
It's really, when it's open, you gotta have it open.
You have to open your order.
Right? At the same time.
So see, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this system, none of us ever remember to reopen an order.
None of us remember to open an order. And that is right.
Okay, and if Microsoft is listening, we would really like for that little pop-up to say, do you want to reopen? And click reopen.
Right,
Instead
and
of
not
having
receive
to
the
go
error.
find, right, instead of having to go find refresh, and then
Or
from refresh,
revert your error right there. If you revert the error, the blue.
We got to give Kevin a
He's a
call.
natural trainer.
right, or go back and then release. I really just want the pop-up to say, yeah, I did want to do that. Go ahead and have him release. So obviously this is, like who needs to do a formula for 8 times 5. But if you're doing a price list and you want to increase all of the prices on a price list by 1% or 0.5%, really easy way to go down and do that by just putting that in there and updating them all. So kind of some neat stuff. Same with the dates. So there's what Tracy was talking about, is being able to see what is that date for?
Yep.
What is it there
There you
for?
go.
Yeah,
Learning.
I love that. I just love that.
I do
That's
too.
one of,
Now I
Yeah,
want to look for the setting for how long it sits up there.
yeah, I don't think that's
does it go-
available yet. Microsoft, if you're listening.
Right?
Yeah, sometimes it goes away right away, and then sometimes
Yeah.
it stays open like that. So I'm not sure what controls that.
It's like I wasn't done reading that.
Yep. Yeah, so what advice would we have for them? So we're coming up on our last 15 minutes. What kind of advice do you have for our customers? What would you suggest if they were thinking, I'd like to automate something? Where would you send them?
Just don't be afraid to click. You're not gonna, as long as it doesn't say delete. Everything else you can click on. We don't recommend clicking on delete, but yeah, self-training is an awesome way at your own pace, your own time schedule. We love to train, don't get us wrong, but to me, just clicking away and learning about the fields and the functionality behind there.
And using your test systems for exactly what you're saying too, Tracy, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
use those test environments and sandboxes and give a couple of things a test run or a go or see what happens. And all the documentation that's out there. There's roadmaps now. There's
The library is
libraries, videos, and now what's available is anybody can get certified. You don't have to be a partner anymore. You don't have to be affiliated to Microsoft or a partner. End users, UGG users, everybody's getting. They're taking those e-learning courses and they're taking those tests. So I think that's an awesome way to stay on top of things too.
Yeah, and when it comes, if there's a process or maybe a report you run every day that you are thinking about automating, try and put it on your job queue and do this in test and see what happens. Because a lot of the reports are built where the dialog boxes I referred to are only shown if there is a user interface allowed. So what I mean by that is when you're running something off a job queue, there's not a computer screen there to show a dialog box. So if you pop a dialog box up on the job queue, it'll throw an error. But a lot of times standard nav already accounts for that. So if you think that there's a process that might be easier to put on a job queue or report you run every day, it's worth trying it out. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Take a look at the job queue log entries and see if it succeeded.
And we keep saying our test database, but some people don't know how to access the sandbox in BC. And sometimes their sandbox isn't up to date with their current data. And let's say they're trying to close year end from a financial aspect and they're running into these out of balances. I suggest being in the cloud, you have that unbelievable space available to you. You can create a test company within your production environment and then make your entries, make your general ledger entries to see what's out of balance or how you balance. I mean, you can always go back and just delete that test company out. It can be a temporary company, and I do it all the time. No, I don't. I'm just saying, but no, it is it's a neat little trick just to create a temporary test company within your live environment, so you have your current data there with you.
And the benefit of a test company in production is that it's going to share the code base as your production company in production. If you have a sandbox database it's not guaranteed to have the exact same code as your production. But multiple companies in the same database will share the same code.
It is that simple, going to your settings, and then when you get to your company page, clicking new.
Yep.
Like Des did.
There she is. Busted.
I just didn't want to mess anybody up, so usually I.
It could have said Queen Bee, you know.
It could have. And make it say Queen Bee. Take my role. But we talked a lot about job queues and automations. I thought we should peek at the job queue page here. And so it's just that simple here. Create new in the job queue entries. Is it a report? Is it a code unit? Chances are, if it's a code unit, you're going to need a little help from us, but a report probably can do on your own. You could go out and find that report. One of the first reports I learned to put on the job queue was the salesperson commissions report. So, I went in and I found that salesperson commissions report in the list, and just clicked on it and set it up. I'll just pick up
One nice thing they added in Business Central is, or in, I think it started in BC. It might have been 2018 or 2017. But if you put a report on the job queue, you can specify, I think it's under process, or it's under one of those header options. You can define what you have that run, like you can define the settings on the request page.
You can pass the filters
the
over to the
criteria,
request
yeah.
page. Yeah.
Exactly. And you didn't used to be able to do that.
No, you had to program that and then turn the GUI whatever off and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
so
report request page there will give you criteria window.
Yeah.
Right.
So you pick your report, and then here you can do your filters. So if I want to see the top 10 and I want to pick a group or a customer group, I can add the salesperson. So maybe it's the ones that have that salesperson. I can set it up to go to that. Just the customers with that salesperson. Say okay. And then there it's set, and then I can just pick when do I want it to start today. It's fine. Go ahead. How do I want it to come out? Send it to me in a PDF, or I could send it to a printer, or I could send it as a notification to my roll center, and then I can open it from there. And then how often do I want it to happen? Do I want it to just run on Tuesdays? Do I want it to run every day? How often do I want it to run? How many minutes in between? And then once I have it all set how I want it, all I have to do is click start in the processes, set it to ready, and then it's gonna attempt to run at 2:49, and then it's gonna reset to the next state you want it to run. So they're pretty simple to set up. So if you haven't, tried it, find some simple report and set it up and play with it yourself and see what you can do. But you can set up your batch posting. So if you ship and then somebody has to hand invoice all of those invoices, you could set up batch posting. So at the end of the day, after everyone leaves, the batch post invoices kicks off and it goes through, and anything that's shipped and ready to be invoiced gets invoiced and sent out by email overnight. So some really cool features there that you can utilize to automate things.
Yeah, just make sure that when you are doing those job queues, think about the size of the file you're getting. We often experience times where clients run these massive reports at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they wonder why their system is kind of slow or they're getting table locks. So the bigger the report,
shipping time.
Exactly. 2 o'clock was always our big one, and somebody always wanted to do something at 2 o'clock.
Probably running tomorrow's production or something.
No, salespeople always wanted the reports at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Or the adjust cost process.
Wasn't me. Probably wasn't me.
Not you.
No.
Ooh.
Never me. All right, what else do we got? Any other good tips or tricks? Any other loves for NAVs?
Just the fact that if there's something that you fall in love with or you really have an idea that you feel like it doesn't exist, don't be afraid to ask, because if we don't have the answer, there could be an ISV out there that may be able to address it. And there's constantly new ISVs with new ideas. So even if it doesn't exist, we can always work with those ISVs and get those ideas out, and maybe they'll develop that as well.
True. Yep. Willing to help us out there, that's for sure. Tell me, so you're younger and newer to the product line on the development side, Cal code or A code, extensions, objects, which is your favorite? What do you like the most so far?
I do like XML ports, importing and exporting data, and I also like processing reports. It's really fun to write a couple of lines of code and it's going to update your records. I think it's so much fun to write the processing reports. I do
He's
like
really good at it
CAF.
too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Processing reports, those are lifesavers. That's a great, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation. We'll have to bring that back in our next one.
The
Talk about
workshop.
processing. Boy, I think processing reports can be like the life raft that you throw out. Sometimes I think it saves a lot of time and energy for our customers when we run a process report in the background.
Or when
Yeah,
there's
cool.
data that's gotten corrupted, or you end up in a situation and there's no way out of it other than just modifying the data. That's not a good situation to be in, but when you're in that spot, a lot of times the processing report's the only option.
Yep.
Taylor.
That comes for anything posted data, posted documents, posted transactions. That's where the report process would come into play.
Right.
Taylor, what's your favorite tech thing that we get?
I don't know, I'd say favorite tech thing. Usually I'm the one that's there to help when something goes wrong. I would say that the ease of with integrations lately, as they progress through NAV and now into BC, it's becoming easier and easier, especially with less and less number of people required to have an integration. Those ISVs, they've made that pretty simple now, and with documentation, shrinking down from I used to joke the manuals down to now it's just a page, and here's a few steps that you do, and now you have it linked in. And especially with this being part of the Azure cloud, there are a ton of the Power BIs and a ton of resources that you can do that almost seems seamless to integrate right into NAV. And we all know that the more information that you can get out of an application, it definitely makes it a better application. Then I just go off of piggyback of what Marguerite was saying is I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where it's either I wish NAV did this or hey, I wish I knew how to do this. And it's like there's a team of people that have been talking for the last hour about how much they enjoy learning NAV and how much they enjoy teaching people NAV. And they can sometimes be answered with just simple conversations, and it's a fun conversation to have. I like you said, come from that TC side, it's usually calling application support is right up there with going to the DMV. And this is a great group of people that really like to help out, and they'll make it fun. And sometimes it's you do have those stress moments, and this is a great group that can really make it a lot easier, a lot less stressful, and sometimes a lot more fun than what you'd think.
Cool. I agree. You made me think of something that has been really cool. We've done two now, is the backup and export of an environment in the SaaS world. Oh my God, is that like the most amazing thing ever compared to what we do on the on-prem versions and stuff? It was like the first one we were like, oh, what are we getting into? And it was so easy. And the second one we did, and then Eric jumped in because you were on vacation, and he was like, oh my God, that's it. And I'm like, I know, right? Is that crazy? So even that's gotten kind of cool. And one of the things from the support side I love in the SaaS world is that, it's one click and I'm there to support. No more VPNs, no more I can't get logged in, my password expired, all of that is gone. And, I'm just there linked to my client to be able to get in and help them right away. I love that about the SaaS version. Can't wait till everybody's sort of in that same world. So
Right.
upgrade fast, people.
Yeah, I
It's all
think
good
that Tracy hit it right on the head with how easy it is, and especially you bringing that test database now up to current data. It used to, it is in NAV. It's a little bit of a process. I mean, we have to schedule this out. It takes a ton of time. Where that's become a lot easier, and the more relevant your test database can be, the better of a test environment it is. Instead of just, hey, we had this 3 years ago, and it's somewhat similar. And it seems like with the SaaS, it's becoming a lot more frequent to that test data is a lot more current.
Yeah, and it's having automatic upgrades in SaaS is fantastic as well, because
Absolutely.
back,
Yeah.
5 years ago, you'd have, one of our customers might have an issue where that was fixed in a newer version of NAV, or it was fixed in a newer cumulative update in the same version, and it might take 20 or 30 hours to apply that cumulative update. Whereas now NAV will just, the Business Central SaaS version will just automatically upgrade you. And so you always have the most current version of the product.
Yep.
That's not to say it's always seamless. You might have some extensions that relied on pieces of Microsoft code that changed a little bit. So sometimes there's a little bit of work to do to get those current. But compared to upgrading an on-premise system, it's completely different.
Automated.
Exactly.
automation.
And you know how I feel about that.
Kevin has a question. I don't see Kevin's question.
Kevin's question is, Gino says Kevin is his least favorite customer engagement specialist. Would you agree, or is Steve worse? And you don't have to answer.
Oh man, is Steve worse? I thought Kevin worked hard to earn that position. I don't want to steal his thunder.
He's your closest coworker, Holly.
Right? Kevin likes to hang out with me. You know what? But that's kind of where I wanted us to end. Is we talked about automation, and with the account managers, we have a great team at Innovia. There isn't anyone I don't love to work with and spend time with, and the account managers are by far just some of the coolest people to talk to. Their depth of business knowledge and processes is incredible. They may not be as savvy as us in NAV and Business Central, but boy, they've run circles around us in the business world. And that's why they're there for our customers, is to talk about this business processes. So if you're listening and you're thinking, man, they keep talking about automate, I want to automate something, they're the person to get a hold of. So call your account manager, tell them the rescue squad told us we should start automating things. We want to automate. Help us find the things to automate. That's what they're good at. They'll help you find those things and point you in the right direction. And then we can get them set up and do some training or help with some coding if that's needed to get things automated for you. So you could be like some of our other customers who, like I said, I'm sure sitting there with their feet up, drinking coffee, just watching that baby hum, because that's really what Business Central can do. It can work for you. It's like that infomercial I remember back in the day. Set it and forget it, right? That's where we want to be. So get those account managers, especially Kevin. If Kevin's your account manager, he is bored. So, call him day and night. Looking for those conversations, to reach out to Kevin. If I had his number handy, I would just shout it out for everybody. But again, in all seriousness, your account managers are there for you to help you find those opportunities. So do spend time with them and reach out when there's something you want to talk about, or an area that's maybe just bottlenecking or causing stress for your company. Reach out, let them know that, and talk through it with them. If they can't come up with it on their own, they'll schedule some time with us to talk through it and come up with a plan for you. So don't hesitate to reach out to the Innovia team. That's for sure. Anything you guys have before we leave?
Have a great afternoon.
Awesome. Angie, I think we're ready to wrap it up. Thanks so much for having us today.
You are quite welcome. Thank you all. It was a very good conversation and a lot of tips and tricks that you've shared. And so I hope that this is beneficial for everyone who is listening. And we just want to thank you again for attending. And I just want to let you know that we are doing a new thing with our training workshops. And we have a variety of training workshops to choose from. So if you visit our training workshop page, that's innovia.com/workshops, you can find out more information on the specific workshop that fits for you. So please register for those. And we do have more webinars coming up. On Thursday, February 4th, we have Sana Commerce presenting on 3 ways to unlock lasting business success with Sana Commerce Cloud. And then next Wednesday, February 10th, we have True Commerce presenting on Jumpstart Your E-commerce in 2021 with True Commerce. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And we've had this for a few years, but if you have not heard of it already, we have a podcast that is going on, and it's called the Innovia Conversation. And we just want to encourage you to listen to the variety of podcasts that our hosts, Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski, have provided to us. And you can find out all about the podcast platforms that you can listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you'll be notified when those new episodes air. All right, everyone, we thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Take care, everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Angie. Thanks, everybody. Bye.